So we've got our original data set, historical data that goes from 2023 all the way to 2017. And what we need to do is start adding in our new data. And the problem is that we're going to be doing it week by week by week. So we're going to get a couple of columns of data, and then the following week another couple of columns, and another couple of columns, and so on and so forth. And so what we can do is we can just concatenate it to this. And what'll happen is the specific data, so let's say it's these two columns for right here, and we've got new mass of salicylic and new mass acetic anhydride data, and we want to put this into the, or add it to the new data frame, sorry, to the old data frame, this is the new one, with this lab day S in this year 2024. So we're trying to add lab day S and year 2024 to this. And so then we can actually start manipulating the data and compare the year 2024 to any one of the previous years or to any one of the previous lab day groups. And so if we just do the concat function, we're going to add it just to these two columns. What we'd like to do is continuously week after week keep adding. So what we're going to have to do is start to combine these two files first. So this would be, let's say, week one data. We come in, we weigh out our initial starting materials, and we've got that information. And then in week two, we come and get more data. So in week two, then we've got two different columns. Here's mass of salicylic, mass of anhydride. This is the two separate weeks. This is week one, this is week two. But either way, they're two separate weeks. But we can see the column headings are different. So there's mass crude ASA, this is percent yield. So this is week two data after we're done. And this is week one. This is our starting material. So we start week one with this. And then we go into week two and we get this new set of data. And we want to get it all compared to the same thing here. So here we've got 4 columns that we're interested in. We don't have this data yet, but we'd like to add in these 4 columns of data and do the comparison. So the first thing we need to do is start to combine these two files together. Now we got a couple of different ways to do that, and each way you do it can provide a different result, some of which is not the greatest. So if we were to, for example, just merge these two files together, that's what I've done here. So we've got, we're going to create a variable called data second, and we're going to read in this one data set right here. So this one here gets read in, and then we're going to read in the other data set here. This part two gets read in, and we're going to merge them together. We're literally going to merge, and so these two data sets, and we're going to have this left and right index equals true, and print out the combined data. And the problem with that then is that it did merge them. Look, we've got the 14 data points all across, and all the columns of data are there. But notice that these two columns are still here. Like, so they're now saying, okay, well, you've got this year X and year and lab day X. So they're trying to differentiate this lab day and this lab year as if they're different columns, and they put this suffix X on it and Y on it for the two different data tables. And we don't want that. So what we need to do is to find out what the common columns are. So we'll read in these data files, we're going to find out what the common columns are, and then we're going to merge those columns. Okay, so let's try out this one. So same thing, I'm going to just short form it here to df1 because it made it easier for writing it. But same thing, I'm going to read in the same file that I did before, and the second file here is same two files that I just read in. But now we're going to use this function, so columns difference. So between df2, so this data frame, and then the second data frame, so these two data frames, what are the different columns? And now that I've got a variable that has the different columns associated with it, now merge that data. So I'm going to create a data frame called merged. I'm going to use the merge function like we did before. Here's the two data frames that I want to merge together, but specifically I want to use these columns. And so now I do the left true, right true, and then how is outer. I've got a Venn diagram to kind of show some of this information. And this is it. When we print it out, this is exactly what we were looking for. So there's just the lab day and the year. There's our 4 columns of data together. There's 14 data points just like we had. So this is exactly what we would like to do. So now that we've got this, we can concatenate this to the original data set. We'll do that in a second. What I've hashtagged out here is this. So this was the original one here. So where it was just, I had a thing called combined data. So I merged the second data set. Remember previously I had this called data set second and this was data third. And when I just merged those two, that's where it created the new columns for year X in lab day X, and then year Y and lab day Y. So it literally combined this this one here with this one here together, including these columns. And we don't want them. We want to exclude those columns. So this is a really nice way of doing that, and to filter out the columns that are that the column names are already there, and so we just stick with these and add in the new stuff here like this. That's what we were hoping to do. So now that we've got our two files of two different days of lab data together, and we've got the column headings here, we want to merge this now with the original data set so that we can actually compare all the data. So to go through this again, we've got the same year and lab day. We don't want to replicate this. We just want to add data to these four columns right here, and we don't want to add anything to these ones. So this was the script that we got to combine the two data sets together. So we have what we call DF1 and DF2. We're trying to figure out the difference in the columns, and whatever columns are the same, we're going to kind of get those data sets together. Sorry, whatever columns are different, we're going to combine those ones together, and we're creating another one called DF merge. So what we want to do is add to this and now save it as a CSV file. So what we're going to do here is essentially run the same thing. So there it is up there, DF1, DF2. We got the columns, we got our merged data. And so here's the same output again. But what we want to do now is call in the main data file. So that's the big one right here. We're going to call this one in as, and we're going to call it main data, and we're going to concatenate them. So we're going to say final data. So we're going to create this variable, and we're going to concatenate the main data right here with the DF merged. And so that'll add the two together, and we're going to ignore the index true. So it will go through and won't do anything based off the index. And so we print out the final data. This column here had, let's go through it, uh, right here, 242 data points, and these have 14. So if we add them together, the hope is that we'll get to 256. And we see when we run this script, we're actually getting it. But let's go back again and see what it does. So we're gonna now concatenate the final merged data, the main data and the DF merged. We're gonna print that out, and we're just to see what it looks like. And then we're gonna save it as a CSV file. And so if we scroll down here, we're gonna see it. I've got a lot here, but one of them here is the right there. So that's it right there. So that got newly created, and it combines all the data that we're looking for right here. And so the nice thing is it spits out and it tells you there's 256 rows of data. So originally we had that 242 for the original data set. And so now we've added on this 14 data points. So we've got 256. So that's telling us there we've got 256 rows of data now, and we've got the 9 columns still. And so what you can see then is that we've got all of these cells are empty. So these are non-existing values, nans, and this is the data set here that we can work on. And so if we wanted to continue with this, we could add in more data the same way we did before. So each time merge your cells together, create this new data set called DF merged or DF merged 1 or 2 or 3 with the new data sets. And then after they've merged these new data sets for 2024 or whatever year you're working in, we're going to now concat that to the main data set and create a new CSV file. So that's what we're looking at here. So your original data file should essentially sort of still be the same. And the new data set will be have a new name, in this case combined 5. So we'll have it lab data combined, and that's our new data set that we can work off of. If you ever need this, you can right click here and you can download it, and that'll go onto your desktop or laptop or whatever it is that you've got, and you can manipulate it there if you want in Python, or continue to manipulate it here in Jupyter Notebook. So now we've got this thing called final data, And so all the data that we've got is now in this data frame right here. And so now we can continue to do descriptive analysis on this final data set. We can do whatever other types of manipulations we want to. And this is our new data set that we've added everything into.